What if the future you have always sensed in quiet moments is already unfolding beneath your feet right now? Imagine this for a moment. A world that is shifting, expanding, vibrating with a frequency that your soul has recognized long before your mind could name it. A world that feels both familiar and startlingly new. You are here, in this exact moment of history, because something ancient within you is waking up. It calls you through intuition, through curiosity, through the strange feeling that destiny is brushing against your skin. And as you hear my voice, you know that you are not here by accident. You have been guided. You have been summoned. Tonight we enter the mystery of Aquarius and the prophecy of the age that bears its name. This is not a simple story, not a simple astrological chapter, and certainly not a concept meant to be understood only by scholars or mystics. This is a spiritual turning point that lives inside every human being. It is a collective rising, a transformation that does not begin with governments or institutions but begins with one person at a time, and the first person is you. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear may change the way you understand your life. Once this door opens, it cannot be closed again. There is a reason you feel pulled toward messages like this. There is a reason your heart beats faster when someone speaks about purpose, awakening, or the shift in consciousness that so many sense but cannot explain. You are not imagining it. You are responding to a call that humanity has waited more than 2,000 years to answer. Let us begin by returning to the question that has echoed across centuries. What is Aquarius, and why does its energy feel unlike anything else we have known? Aquarius is not just a zodiac sign. Aquarius is a symbol of the visionary, the reformer, the soul who refuses to be confined by expectation. It is the whisper of the future carried on the wind. It is the electric spark that breaks old patterns. It is the courage to think differently, to feel deeply, and to rise above the noise of the world. If you have ever felt out of place in ordinary life, it may be because your spirit is attuned to something far ahead of its time. And now, the age connected to this sign begins to open like a cosmic gateway. The age of Aquarius, long prophesied, long anticipated, begins not with fireworks in the sky but with whispers inside the human heart. It begins with souls who crave truth, who crave freedom, who crave a deeper meaning than the one offered by a world built on fear and repetition. Perhaps you are one of these souls. Perhaps you have always sensed that change is coming, that your own transformation is not only personal but part of something immeasurably larger. As we step into this story, allow your mind to soften and your intuition to rise. Let yourself feel the weight of these words. Let yourself consider that you are living in a moment humanity will speak about for generations, not in a metaphorical sense, but in a real, measurable, spiritually charged awakening that has already begun. You do not have to force this understanding, you only have to listen. And now, as the veil begins to lift, we move into the heart of this journey. The transition begins here. We cross from curiosity into revelation, from doubt into remembrance. The age of Aquarius is not waiting at the horizon. It is rising through every shift you feel in your life, every awakening, every release, every moment where you choose truth over fear. Feel that energy now, gathering around you like a quiet storm of light. If these words resonate somewhere deep within you, leave a comment affirming your truth. Write clearly and with intention, "I am ready to awaken." Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt that your thoughts were reaching farther than the moment you were living? As if a quiet part of you was already standing in the future while the rest of the world was still catching up? That strange sensation, that subtle awareness, is not imagination. It is the Aquarian current. It is the feeling of a mind that remembers truths before they appear, a heart that seeks freedom even when everything around it insists on the familiar. When this calling reaches you, it does not arrive with noise. It arrives with recognition, a soft pull, a whisper that says you are not who the world tried to shape. You are who the universe always intended you to be. Aquarius is more than a sign in a chart. Aquarius is the spirit of transformation itself. It is the spark that challenges, the vision that expands, the moment when a person realizes that life is more than repetition. Aquarius invites you to break cycles that do not honor your soul, to step beyond excuses, and to embrace the future that has been waiting with open hands. This is the sign of the visionary who stands at the edge of reality and dares to imagine something different, not because it is comfortable, but because it is true. If you have ever felt separate from the crowd, not in a lonely way but in a knowing way, that is Aquarius speaking through your intuition. It tells you that you are meant for a path that requires bravery and awareness. You are meant to listen to the questions that most people avoid. You are meant to open the doors that others pretend are not there. Aquarius calls you toward purpose with a quiet confidence, reminding you that transformation never begins outside. It begins within the heart of a person who decides to rise. Now let us step deeper. When people hear the word Aquarius, they often imagine someone cold or detached. Yet the Aquarian archetype is anything but emotionless. It is simply a different kind of emotion, one that expands outward instead of folding inward. Aquarians love humanity as a whole, even when they struggle to navigate individual relationships. They see potential where others see limitation. They understand that life is not meant to be lived in a straight line. It is meant to be explored, questioned, reinvented. Is less than has shown number, is greater than. Aquarius belongs to the element of air, but it does not behave like a gentle breeze. It is the powerful wind that arrives before a storm, the wind that clears the sky and reveals what was hidden. This sign is guided by two guardians. The first guardian is Saturn, the ancient teacher who gives discipline, structure, and the wisdom earned through challenges. The second guardian is Uranus, the planet of awakening, revolution, and sudden insight. Together they create a soul that can understand order while dreaming far beyond it, a soul that sees the world as it is and as it could become. Within this archetype lives the visionary who senses truth beneath illusion, the rebel who refuses to shrink for systems that no longer support the human spirit, the healer who holds space for the collective even when their own heart feels heavy, and the outsider who stands a few steps away from the world, not because they reject it, but because they came here to help transform it. If any part of this feels familiar, it is because the Aquarian frequency has already touched your life. To embody Aquarius is to live between the physical world and the invisible one. It is to wake up with ideas that arrive like lightning, to feel guided by an inner compass no one else can see, and to walk a path that is rarely understood at first. Aquarius does not seek approval. Aquarius seeks alignment. And when this archetype awakens within someone, it brings courage that is both quiet and unshakable. Now we expand beyond the individual and into the collective story. The Age of Aquarius is not just a chapter in astrology. It is a cosmic shift that spans more than 2,000 years, shaped by the slow movement of Earth as it transitions through constellations. For centuries, humanity lived under the influence of the Age of Pisces, a time of spiritual longing, sacrifice, devotion, and the search for meaning beyond the material world. Pisces taught humanity to dream, to believe, to surrender. But now a new age begins to rise, one that asks humans to awaken rather than escape. The Age of Aquarius is the age of truth, innovation, and consciousness. It is the time when knowledge becomes accessible, when old structures break down, and when humanity learns to think not only for itself, but for the collective. It is an era where intuition and logic work together. It is an era where spiritual awareness merges with technological advancement. It is an era that asks every person not only who they are, but who they are becoming. Astrologers have debated the exact beginning of this age for generations, but its influence is already unmistakable. Rapid transformation across the world is not random. It is the early pulse of a new frequency, a shift that encourages humanity to step away from fear-based systems and toward awakened living. You may have felt this in your own life. Sudden changes, unexplained clarity, a pull toward meaning, a desire to release outdated patterns. These are signs that the Aquarian tide is rising within you and around you. The Age of Aquarius is not about waiting for the world to transform. It is about realizing that transformation begins with individuals who choose awareness over comfort, freedom over repetition, and truth over illusion. It invites every person to see themselves as a creator of reality rather than a passive observer. And as this age unfolds, it calls humanity to step into a future where authenticity becomes strength, knowledge becomes power, and spiritual evolution becomes a collective journey. When ancient astrologers spoke of the Age of Aquarius, they described it as a bridge between the world we inherited and the world we are destined to build. They believed that once this Aquarian current began to rise, humanity would face a moment of deep awakening. Not a gentle awakening, but the kind that shakes the soul into remembering why it came to Earth in the first place. The prophecy tells us that great ages do not begin with harmony. They begin with disruption, with truth surfacing from the shadows, with structures that once felt permanent revealing their fragility. It is in moments like these that the Aquarian frequency becomes most visible. According to these ancient teachings, the Age of Aquarius would reveal hidden technologies, uncover buried wisdom, and open gateways of consciousness that many believed were myths. It would encourage humanity to seek truth rather than obedience, unity rather than domination, and innovation rather than stagnation. They said that when this age began to dawn, people would feel their intuition sharpen, their desire for freedom intensify, and their loyalty to outdated systems dissolve almost overnight. If you have sensed any of this, it is because the prophecy is unfolding exactly as foretold. Yet the prophecy also carries a warning. The beginning of this age brings turbulence as humanity confronts its own shadow. Illusions fall. Corruption is exposed. People awaken to truths they once avoided. But disruption is not punishment. Disruption is cleansing. Aquarius brings storms only to clear the path for new life. It is like the first strong wind after years of stillness. It may feel overwhelming at first, but it makes space for fresh air and possibility. And in this prophecy, every individual plays a role, because the evolution of the collective mirrors the evolution of each soul. Now let us speak honestly. When a sign carries so much transformative power, it also carries a shadow. For Aquarius, this shadow does not appear as cruelty or selfishness. It appears as distance. A person who feels the world deeply may learn to protect themselves by stepping back from it. The Aquarian shadow is a quiet retreat into the mind, a place where logic feels safer than emotion. It is the belief that vulnerability is a weakness, even when the heart is craving connection. Many people with strong Aquarian energy learn to appear independent not because they do not feel, but because they feel so much that they do not know how to express it. Another part of this shadow lies in the temptation to rebel for the sake of rebellion. Aquarius is a natural challenger of systems, but when the shadow takes over, disruption can become aimless. A person may reject rules not because they are harmful, but simply because they exist. They may grow impatient with others who move more slowly or do not understand their vision. They may fall into the illusion that they are entirely self-sufficient, forgetting that even revolutionaries need community. But the beauty of the Aquarian shadow is that it contains within it the key to its own healing. The moment an Aquarian soul allows vulnerability, even in small steps, its brilliance becomes magnetic. The moment it chooses purpose over impulsive rebellion, its actions become powerful. And the moment it realizes that true strength is built through connection, not isolation, the shadow softens. Aquarius was never meant to walk alone. It was meant to guide others toward a freer and more awakened world. The shadow is not a flaw, but an invitation to grow into the fullness of the archetype. As this new age unfolds, every zodiac sign feels its influence in a different way. The Age of Aquarius does not touch only the visionaries or the rebels. It touches all of humanity, awakening different gifts in each person. Let us explore how this energy activates the 12 archetypes of the Zodiac, each one with its own role in this collective transformation. Aries, the courageous firestarter, becomes a leader in times of change. This age fuels their natural bravery, encouraging them to challenge outdated structures and ignite movements that inspire others to act. Their instinctive passion becomes a guiding flame during periods of uncertainty. Taurus, the grounded builder, learns to balance stability with innovation. Aquarius nudges Taurus to release old patterns and embrace new systems that honor both practicality and progress. They become architects of the new world, shaping ideas into tangible form. Gemini, the messenger, becomes more powerful than ever. Their natural curiosity merges with the Aquarian desire for truth, allowing them to communicate complex ideas with clarity and inspiration. They become connectors who spread knowledge across communities. Cancer, the emotional healer, gains new strength in a world that often prioritizes logic over emotion. Their intuition becomes essential as people search for safety and understanding during change. Cancer teaches humanity how to feel again without fear. Leo, the radiant heart, becomes a beacon for authenticity. Aquarius encourages Leo to shine without ego and lead through compassion. Their courage to be themselves inspires others to embrace their own truth. Virgo, the sacred analyst, thrives in this new age of refinement. Their ability to organize, perfect, and purify becomes invaluable as systems transform. Virgo helps humanity separate what is real from what is illusion. Libra, the harmony keeper, steps into the role of mediator. Aquarius strengthens their desire for justice and balance, helping them rebuild social structures that are fair and sustainable. They become architects of peace in times of tension. Scorpio, the deep alchemist, becomes a force that reveals truth. Aquarius activates their power to transform darkness into wisdom. Scorpio exposes corruption and helps humanity confront shadow with courage. Sagittarius, the seeker, rises as a philosopher of the new era. Aquarius expands their desire for exploration, guiding them toward new teachings, new belief systems, and new horizons of consciousness. Capricorn, the wise architect, learns to release rigidity and embrace innovative thinking. Aquarius helps them break free from tradition when tradition no longer serves growth. They build foundations that can support the future. Aquarius itself becomes the visionary leader. This age amplifies the natural gifts of those born under this sign, awakening intuition, strengthening insight, and empowering them to guide others toward awareness and liberation. Pisces, the mystic bridge, becomes a spiritual guide between the old world and the new one. Aquarius amplifies their intuitive gifts and helps them bring compassion into a rapidly evolving society. They hold the memory of where humanity has been and the vision of where it can go. Let us speak directly, soul to soul. When you hear people talk about the Age of Aquarius, it can feel distant, almost like a myth or a symbol that belongs to the collective rather than the individual. But the truth is far more intimate. This age does not arrive through global events alone. It arrives through people who awaken to their own purpose. It arrives through you. The Age of Aquarius is a mirror that reflects the evolution taking place inside your spirit. Every shift in your thoughts, every moment of clarity, every spark of intuition is part of this greater unfolding. You are not standing outside of this transformation. You are woven into it. You came into this world at a very specific time for a very specific reason. This age requires people who are willing to expand their consciousness, to question what no longer aligns, and to embrace a version of themselves that is more true than the one they were taught to become. Perhaps you have felt a pull to grow in ways that have no explanation. Perhaps you have sensed that you are leaving behind old versions of yourself, even when you do not fully understand why. This is the Aquarian current guiding you. It invites you to trust the parts of your soul that speak in whispers rather than logic. The Age of Aquarius asks every person to step into greater awareness. It encourages you to release identities that feel too small. It challenges you to let go of habits that numb your potential. It pushes you to follow the inner call that says you are meant for more. This is not a demand for perfection. It is an invitation to authenticity. When you choose authenticity, even in small steps, you align with the very essence of this new age. Aquarius does not want you to fit into old molds. Aquarius wants you to become the truest expression of who you already are. Another part of your role in this age is learning how to trust your intuition. Intuition is one of the strongest gifts activated by the Aquarian era. It opens gently at first, then gains strength as you honor it. You might begin to see patterns in your life more clearly. You may sense when something is right or wrong long before physical evidence appears. You may feel guided toward certain people, ideas, or opportunities that align with your growth. This is the universe communicating with you through the Aquarian frequency. Your task is not to suppress these moments, but to welcome them. The Age of Aquarius is also deeply connected to community. Not community based on convenience, but community based on shared purpose and shared awakening. You are not meant to walk this path in isolation. Even if you value independence, you will notice that meaningful connections begin to appear in unexpected ways. People with similar dreams, similar questions, and similar hunger for truth will cross your path. These connections are not random. They are part of the architecture of this new age. Aquarius teaches that individual awakening strengthens collective awakening, and collective awakening amplifies individual transformation. Finally, your role in this age is to embrace the courage to evolve. Growth can feel uncomfortable. It asks you to release beliefs you once held tightly. It asks you to step beyond fear and into trust. It asks you to open your mind to possibilities that challenge everything you thought you knew. Yet evolution is the very heartbeat of this age. The world cannot transform unless the people within it transform. And you, whether you realize it or not, are one of the catalysts. Every conscious choice you make becomes a ripple in the collective field. Every insight, every healing moment, every act of awareness contributes to the rising frequency of humanity. Now that you understand the magnitude of this new age and the role you play within it, let us step into the practices that help you align with its energy. Think of these practices not as routines or obligations, but as portals. Each one opens a doorway into a clearer, more awakened state of being. The Aquarian frequency is electric, intuitive, and expansive. To work with it, you must learn to balance openness with grounded intention. These practices will guide you toward that balance in ways that feel natural, meaningful, and deeply transformative. The first practice is conscious meditation for the higher mind. In this age, meditation is not simply a method for calming the nervous system, although it certainly helps with that. It becomes a tool for tuning into the subtle vibrations of intuition and insight. The Aquarian energy resonates strongly with the color of electric blue, a shade that represents awakening and clarity. When you close your eyes and imagine this electric blue light surrounding your body, you are not imagining something random. You are tapping into a frequency that amplifies inner knowing. Allow this light to move around you, then through you, revealing thoughts that were once hidden beneath noise. The second practice is intentional journaling, a powerful method for unveiling truth. Aquarius invites you to question, to explore, to examine the layers of your identity and your purpose. When you sit with a blank page and ask yourself the simple question, "Who am I becoming?" you give your soul permission to speak without interruption. Do not write from expectation, write from instinct. The words that appear may surprise you, but they will guide you toward clarity. Over time, these entries become a map of your evolution, showing you patterns and breakthroughs that you might not have noticed otherwise. Another essential practice in the Aquarian age is creating healthy boundaries with technology. This may sound unusual, especially because Aquarius governs innovation, communication, and digital expansion. But the purpose of technology in this age is empowerment, not entrapment. When you use it consciously, it becomes a bridge to knowledge, connection, and opportunity. When you use it unconsciously, it becomes a distraction that pulls you away from intuition. A simple practice is to take intentional pauses throughout the day, moments where you step back from screens and allow your mind to breathe. These small pauses anchor you in the present and prevent your energy from becoming fragmented. Community connection is another practice that grows in importance during this era. Aquarius thrives in shared growth, shared vision, and shared awakening. Seek out people who challenge and uplift you, people who are also walking a path of transformation. These do not have to be large groups. Even one meaningful connection can shift your entire frequency. Engaging with others who resonate with your journey strengthens your courage and helps you feel supported in moments when change feels overwhelming. The Aquarian age teaches that unity is not about identical thinking. It is about aligned intention. Studying mystical teachings is an additional practice that aligns deeply with this era. Whether you explore astrology, energy healing, meditation methods, sacred texts, or ancient philosophies, you activate parts of your consciousness that have been dormant. The more you learn, the more you remember. Aquarius opens a gateway to spiritual intelligence, a type of understanding that goes beyond intellect and into the realm of intuitive truth. As you study, you begin to recognize patterns in your own life, patterns in collective events, and patterns in the energy that surrounds you. This awareness empowers you to navigate the changes of this age with clarity and confidence. Finally, allow yourself to follow practices that feel personal and authentic. Aquarius celebrates individuality. You may find that certain rituals, environments, or creative expressions awaken something inside you. Trust that. A spiritual practice does not need tradition to be valid. It needs sincerity. If something helps you feel connected to your purpose, then it belongs in your toolkit for this age. The Aquarian era is a time when the soul learns to guide the mind, and these practices are the threads that weave that guidance into daily experience. Let us step for a moment into the future that so many mystics, astrologers, and visionaries have spoken about for centuries. I want you to imagine this future not as something distant or unreachable, but as a landscape that is slowly forming beneath the surface of our current world. Think of it as the first light of dawn appearing on the horizon long before the sun fully rises. That is what the Age of Aquarius represents. It is the early glow of a new era, one shaped by awareness, innovation, and a collective awakening that humanity has never experienced on this scale before. In this Aquarian future, humanity begins to break free from patterns that have held it in place for far too long. People begin to think for themselves with clarity and courage. They question narratives that once went unchallenged. They lean into truth even when truth feels uncomfortable. You will see communities forming around shared purpose rather than simple convenience. You will see people choosing cooperation over competition because they understand that the advancement of one helps the advancement of all. This does not mean a world without struggle, but a world where struggle becomes a catalyst for unity rather than division. Technology also evolves in ways that mirror spiritual growth. It moves beyond distraction and becomes a tool for expansion. New discoveries emerge that bridge science and consciousness in ways that previous generations could only dream of. Inner healing gains the same level of respect that physical health has always received. People begin to understand that emotional well-being and energetic awareness are not luxuries but essential foundations for a meaningful life. Innovations in communication, medicine, energy, and education become infused with compassion rather than control. The Aquarian prophecy speaks of a time when humanity rediscovers its connection to the cosmos. This does not mean abandoning earthly life. It means recognizing that earthly life is part of a much larger tapestry. People begin to sense their own intuition with more strength. They feel the presence of destiny. They recognize synchronicities as guidance rather than coincidence. Spirituality becomes less about strict doctrine and more about lived experience, personal transformation, and a relationship with the unseen world that feels natural and empowering. Social structures also shift. Systems that were once built on fear and hierarchy begin to fade because they no longer resonate with the consciousness of the people. In their place arise new frameworks based on fairness, innovation, and shared responsibility. Leadership becomes less about authority and more about service. Education becomes less about memorization and more about awakening creativity. Work becomes less about survival and more about contribution. The future shaped by Aquarius is a future where people recognize their own potential and the potential of others. Yet perhaps the most beautiful part of this foretold future is the inner transformation that each person undergoes. Fear that once felt overwhelming becomes manageable through awareness. Doubt that once held many back loses its power. People begin to trust their own wisdom. They begin to heal generational wounds. They begin to create lives that reflect their true essence, rather than the expectations placed upon them. Humanity steps into a new level of emotional maturity, spiritual intelligence, and creative expression. The Age of Aquarius is not promising perfection. It is promising possibility. It is offering a path where consciousness rises, where truth becomes a guiding force, and where each individual has the chance to contribute to something greater than themselves. The prophecy does not say the future will be effortless. It says the future will be awakened. And in that awakening, humanity discovers its strength, its purpose, and its extraordinary potential to shape reality through intention and unity. As we arrive at this final moment together, take one long breath and let everything you have heard settle gently into your spirit. Think about the journey we have taken across these many chapters. We explored the call of Aquarius, the archetype behind it, the dawning age that reshapes humanity, the prophecy whispered through centuries, the shadow that asks for healing, the influence across every sign of the Zodiac, the individual role you play in this unfolding story, the spiritual practices that align you with this new frequency, and the vision of a future that is already blooming beneath the surface of your life. When you look back at all of this, you may notice something powerful. None of these ideas were presented as something outside of you. Every step of this exploration has been pointing you back toward yourself, toward the truth that you are part of this shift, part of this awakening, part of this collective transformation that will define the coming millennia. The Age of Aquarius is not simply a cosmic transition. It is a mirror that reflects your own evolution. It asks you to remember that your life holds meaning beyond the roles you play, beyond the routines you follow, beyond the boundaries you once believed were unbreakable. You are part of a story that began long before you were born and will continue long after your time here. Every moment of growth, every moment of clarity, every moment of courage brings you into deeper alignment with the energy of this age. Aquarius does not ask you to become someone else. It asks you to become more deeply yourself. It asks you to step into authenticity with the same bravery that ancient travelers stepped into unknown lands. Look at where you stand now. In this exact moment, you are living in a time of extraordinary change. Your thoughts are shifting. Your intuition is sharpening. Your soul is awakening in ways you may not have words for yet. This is not accidental. This is not coincidence. It is the unfolding of a divine design, a cosmic rhythm that moves through humanity and through you. You are not small. You are not drifting. You are not lost. You are rising. You are remembering. You are stepping onto the path that your spirit chose long before your first breath. The Age of Aquarius is the invitation, but you are the one who chooses to walk through the doorway. And every step you take changes not only your life, but the collective world around you. So let this final message echo through you. The future is not something you wait for. The future is something you help create. The light you carry, the vision you hold, the truth you embody, becomes part of the energetic architecture of the new age. Even small acts of awareness ripple outward in ways you cannot imagine. Your healing becomes healing for others. Your awakening becomes a spark for countless lives. Your authenticity becomes a kind of permission for people who have forgotten their own strength. This is how revolutions begin. Not through force, but through consciousness. Not through destruction, but through illumination. And you, standing right here, are already part of that illumination. And now, for the final words of this journey. The Age of Aquarius is not coming. It is already here. It is in your choices, your awareness, your evolution. It is in your courage to release what no longer serves you and to step boldly into what your soul has always known. Remember this with every breath you take. You are not merely witnessing transformation. You are participating in it. You are shaping it. You are the living expression of an ancient prophecy realized in human form. Your existence matters on a scale far beyond what you can see. Carry that truth with you. Let it strengthen your steps, illuminate your path, and remind you that your journey is sacred. If this message spoke to your heart, I invite you to continue expanding your awareness and deepening your journey. Explore the other videos on this channel, where more wisdom, guidance, and insight await you. Your transformation does not end here. It begins here.